If Ginger Minj had just won season 7 like she was supposed to, then we wouldn't have had the shenanigans in All Stars 10. That's what I keep hearing. You know what? I don't know if I completely agree with that. In my opinion, I think every single All Stars season is set up from the jump with a couple of queens that are meant to go to the end game. So regardless of if Ginger Minj won season 7 or not, All Stars 10 would have been a setup for someone else, in the same way that every other All Stars has been. I think the only genuine surprise in All Stars was All Stars 6, because I think that season was meant to be won by either Raja or Ginger. I don't think Kylie was on the radar, but she did so phenomenally that season. How could you not crown her? I think the same thing happened with Trinity, because I don't know if she was meant to win season 4. That's beyond the point. Chaos theory postulates that the most minute change can drastically alter future events. With All Stars 10 being over, there's a resurgence of fans talking about Ginger and maybe she should have won season 7 instead of All Stars 10. That maybe this wasn't her best showing of all of them. So in today's video, in the same vein as Doctor Who's Turn Left, we're gonna put a big beetle on the back of RuPaul and force her to make a different decision back in season 7 and watch as the world spirals out of control. We're gonna go on some crazy leaps, some crazy journeys. This would not be a chaos theory world without a little chaos. So try to have fun with this. It's been widely speculated that the winners of each season are hand-chosen because they represent something that the previous winner did not, or they would maybe change the landscape of drag in a new direction that the previous winner did not. BB was a fantastic image for drag, someone who was more femme, and Wamana had a strong visual image and wasn't frightening to the local stay-at-home TV watching demographic who may have been more interested in something a little tooty and a little fruity. Tyra, the second winner, is much younger than BB and represented classical beauty with a modern sensibility. You can start seeing the archetypes of the finalists cropping up at this point, as she and Raven are neck and neck with this style of drag. Then comes Manila and Raja, bringing in ultra high fashion, big concepts to the runway, opening the doors for stronger visual aesthetics. Chad and Jeremy are similar in their pageantry presentation, which is something the show I think was striving for. But Sharon was just that side of alternative drag, fuck expectations that Ru built her career on, and something was undeniably charming about her. So she opens the door for more charisma over polish. Jinx comes in like a fireball with Alaska, who both of them are representing their own unique styles of drag, with Alaska being a bit more grunge, punk adjacent, and Jinx being old Hollywood meets Broadway. But ultimately, both of them are extremely intelligent with their presentations and focus on comedy as a first pillar to their drag, something that is very different from Sharon. Season 6 starts to lean into television significantly harder, begins chasing the rubric that season 5 established for them of a villain, an underdog, and a frontrunner. Bianca, in her status as the frontrunner, is comedy focused, but packages and presents it almost like Joan Rivers, with extravagant gowns and crass delivery. Adore is crass about her drag, bordering on irreverent, but her fashion and glam are clearly lacking. Bianca specifically brings a sharp edge that Jinx was distinctly missing, something that Adore also had and could have also won that season, which is very likely why there was an alleged double crowning. So then season 7 rolls around, where Violet and Pearl appeal to a much younger audience. They both don't take life too seriously, while also taking great pride and seriousness in their art and their work. Their flazé-dawness is ever present all season, which pisses off the older pageantry queens like Ginger and Kennedy. And it's been speculated a few times that Violet, Pearl, and Fame were pushed so hard in their season because they brought strong fashion and looks, but also had youth in a way that none of the winners had since Tyra. And even Tyra's presentation was always framed as someone who wanted to be seen as older, even if their attitude didn't reflect the mature image behind the scenes. So if Ginger is chosen to win this season, she reverts back to a familiar archetype of Jinx Monsoon, someone who doesn't have a strong polish about her drag, focuses on comedy first, but brings a more family-friendly energy to her drag than any of the previous winners. This is a mold-breaking archetype from what we had just gotten from Bianca. If we follow this line of thinking that Drag Race tries to crown queens or set up endgame players who have something that the previous winner does not, then Bob cannot win the following season of Drag Race. And again, this is a chaos universe, so we are going to be creating chaos. Bob is someone who in her season didn't have the strongest visual aesthetic in garments or makeup, making her very different from Violet. Bob focused on comedy above all, making her very different from Violet. So she runs a little too closely towards shapes that have already been drawn in the winner's circle based off of Ginger winning. Naomi, however, is someone very reminiscent of Violet. A strong visual package, has a somewhat blasé attitude, and appeals to a younger audience. So RuPaul crowns Ginger Minj in season 7, so then in season 8, we need to crown someone who is a little more fashion forward, younger in their approach that brings in a different audience and changes that landscape, in the same way that Violet did, but was unable to do in this universe. So in season 8, here's how things shake out a bit differently, and going forward, I will only share moments in each season that I think would be different. Naomi wins the New Wave Queens Girl Group Challenge over Robbie, scoring her slightly higher by the time we get to the finale and making her a more viable winner. In that finale, I think it's undeniable that all 3 of those queens did something special and could have won based on their performances. But in this butterfly effect universe, sorry Asia O'Hara, Drag Race needs a young queen to win, so Naomi is crowned this season as the winner, much to everyone's shock and surprise that Bob, a major frontrunner, didn't win. The Jenga tower is slowly falling apart here because the next aired season was All Stars 2, where Alaska wins. I think it was always in the cards that she would win. I think they regretted not giving her the crown in season 5, but we have a snafu to mend. Ginger's replacement in All Stars 2 becomes Miss Fame. It's widely known that Miss Fame was rumored to be on All Stars 2. The girls at the time even prepared reads for her in the event that she was there, because they all got a list of potential names to see in that workroom. So they could prepare their episode 1 reads, and Miss Fame was on that list. She makes the most sense for this particular group, so episode 1, the talent show, is completely unchanged, even with Fame's presence there. Episode 2, Snatch Game, is where things start to get interesting. See, initially, Detox, Roxy, and Tatiana were the bottom 3. We know that Fame would struggle here in the Snatch Game, and it would be a lousy Chaos Theory universe if we played it safe. The bottom 3 is now Tatiana, Fame, and Roxy. With Alaska playing the game fairly, or so she says she did at the time, and listening to those judges' critiques, Fame would likely get better critiques on the runway over Tatiana, which leads Tatiana to be eliminated once again, and Fame to be safe here. In Baddest Bitches,
wait a minute, bitches,
I proposed that Katya would be given Ginger's original role. This character, who has relations with a horse, is much more in line with Katya's line of drag than it was for Ginger's. And Princess Diana would then go to Fame. Katya's original critiques were that her look was not solid enough to pass as Diana. And in no universe do I see Fame struggling with that same issue. I think her look would be the most polished and the most recognizable, even if I see her struggling with other things. And I know that her future of drag runway would be high fashion and very hard to place in the bottom. While they didn't love Katya's original runway look, I think they would look past it if her performance was as good as Catherine the Great would have been if Ginger had maybe had a better runway. Alaska has said that even she was surprised she wasn't in the bottom that week. Her performance was not very strong and her lip sync wasn't tight. And some fans have also postulated that Jeremy would have been in the bottom had either Katya or Ginger done better in the challenge or the runway respectively. So this being a chaotic universe, Alaska and Jeremy are in the bottom 2, with Katya being safe and Fame being low. In this scenario, Detox wins the lip sync since she has storyline with Jeremy. They already had some storyline going about how they didn't connect back in season 4. I think there would be no reason to keep him around. Episode 4, Drag Movie Sequels, now features Fame in the original role that Jeremy had. We know that Fame cannot act to save her life, so she lands in the bottom with Alyssa and Roxy, putting Katya into another safe position while Detox takes the wide open top 2 spot. In this situation, I would see either of them eliminating Fame over Alyssa, bringing us to episode 5, Revenge of the Queens, which begins with no production drama since Jeremy is gone, but is full of it when they all gather together. Adora's walked out, so there's an uneven number of queens. The returning queens get to choose their partners based on elimination order. Fame chooses Detox since they're both high fashion, high concept queens. Jeremy chooses Alaska since she's the funniest in the room. Tatiana chooses Katya, and Coco chooses Alyssa, with Roxy being the solo MC once again. So here's my honest to goodness thought process. No matter how funny Alaska is, I don't think she could make Jeremy funny to watch. Detox, however, may be able to work with Fame to draw out some of that gross, crass humor that Fame tried to lean in on in season 7, but kept getting pulled back by her competitors. The problem is that the show is at a deficit since Adora walked out. Either two queens return here or no one goes home in a later event. I think Alyssa and Coco would be extremely funny to watch, placing Coco and Tatiana in the top 2 lip sync to Shut Up and Drive, with both of them returning and getting to eliminate Roxy Andrews, Alaska, or Detox. I think because Coco was eliminated by Roxy and because Tatiana was trying to play fairly, they both send Roxy back to the house. So then in Drag Fish Tank, the tops do not change, with Alaska and Katya there. However, the bottom 2 are hands down Coco because production was not feeling her but at all, and I could see them making an argument for Alyssa to be in the bottom to push the Coco-Alyssa story once again. With Alaska winning the Cherry Bomb lip sync, I could see her sending Coco home, since she was gone for so many more episodes over Alyssa. Episode 7, Family That Drags Together, sees no changes in the tops of Katya and Detox, where everyone else is in the bottom. In no universe do I see Detox sending home her friend Alaska, so I think it would be a hard choice between Tatiana, who I think would do genuinely wonderful in this challenge, and Alyssa. I think Alyssa may get the chop here and Tatiana goes to the finale and possibly creates the most fire verse for Reggie Rochu that ever existed. With Detox having more high placements than Alaska, and Alaska having one further bottom placement from that Rusical episode, I see the winner of All Stars 2 being Detox over Alaska. This Chaos universe is just getting started, y'all. Pick up your jaws. Next is season 9 of Drag Race, where I expect that precious little would change in the finale because Sasha definitively ate up those lip syncs in an unexpected way, and Peppermint wasn't a completely viable winner due to her very consistent bottom placements. So not much changes there. And Sasha is such a different winner from everyone, she's a palate cleanser in the universe. All Stars 3, we get another interesting twist. Because Bob did not win her season, she will be here in the roster over BB. With Thorgy in this cast, I see significantly more story potential to keep Thorgy around and continue to mind fuck her while Bob snags up wins, and really utilize Thorgy as a story device for Bob. So let's dive into this season with some hits. Morgan is always first out in the talent show at the hands of Dela. For the Divas lip sync in episode 2, Milk is instead at a low placement over Thorgy, since Thorgy has more story potential, with Trixie in a high position over BB, and Bob is placed as safe. Milk becomes the second out here. Episode 3, The Bitchler, sees Kennedy and Bob in the top 2, with Dela being high and the bottoms as Aja, Chi-Chi, and Trixie. Even without Milk here to be annoying, I think Trixie struggles in these kinds of challenges, and Thorgy does well enough in them to be safe. It's even funnier that Bob is here because the lip sync song is Lord, and Bob specifically complained to Lucian about Lord in season 8. If Kennedy wins this lip sync, I see her sending home either Aja or Trixie. For the purpose of this video, let's say she sends home Aja, since she theoretically has a better relationship with Trixie than she does with Aja. Episode 4, Snatch Game, sees Bob and Dela in the top 2, with Trixie, Chi-Chi, and Kennedy in the bottom 3. They both win the lip sync and both choose to eliminate Chi-Chi, who was practically begging to go home by this point. And even though I think Bob loves her friend, I think she would respect her wishes over anything else. Episode 5, The Pop Art Ball, sees Trixie in the top with Thorgy, surprisingly, because I do think that she is one of the better seamstresses in this group. I mean, look at that finale outfit she constructed with those fabrics she took. And the bottoms are Shangela and Kennedy. The lip sync song would likely be changed from The Boss by Diana Ross since BB is not here, but let's say it was the exact same song. I think Thorgy wins this one and sends home Kennedy because I think she would see her as stronger competition. Episode 6 is the Returning Queen episode, and by this original point in the competition, The pressure was getting to Dela and she eliminated herself because it was just getting too much to crush so many dreams. And then Morgan came in and was terrible to her by calling her two-faced, and I think it was all just too much. In this run, however, she is only needed to pull 3 lipsticks, so maybe she would be able to battle the pressure of Morgan put on her and push through it. Plus, I see Bob and Thorgy in the top 2 over Dela to begin with, so she couldn't snipe herself out even if she wanted to. Production chooses Bob to win that lip sync to torture Thorgy, and chooses to eliminate Trixie since she's had the most bottom placements of the group. Chooses to bring back into the competition Aja since they're both New York queens and Aja slayed the hell out of that group. Episode 7 is the acting challenge where I truly see Dela and Bob in the top 2 once again, with everyone else up for elimination. I see Bob winning the Freaky Money lip sync and choosing to eliminate Shangela over Aja because Shangela is a strong contender to win and she would want to play the game a bit fiercer now that it's closer to the end. In the Kitty Girl finale, it always struck me as weird that production threw in this random jury twist, as it comes across specifically so that they can make sure that Trixie wins over Shangela. With this top 4 of Thorgy, Dela, Bob, and Aja, I think Ru would just simply pick a top 2, and those would be Dela and Bob. It wouldn't be a chaos theory without a little chaos. I see this being a truly legitimate double crowning moment, which means that we will not get the double crown in All Stars 4. Dela and Bob are now our twinners. Then comes rolling around season 10. With Naomi being such a recent winner, I greatly wonder if they would need a young, blasé fashion queen like Aquaria to take the crown, or if they would then give it to Eureka, like they really seemed to want to originally. Perhaps if they don't need Aquaria's youthful energy to make up for Violet's win being 3 years previous, rather Naomi was just 2 years previous. Aquaria is eliminated in that first finale lip sync, as many people claim that she fell and did quite a poor job, and Eureka wins Bang Bang over Cameron, thusly winning the entire season. Then All Stars 4 happens with another altered cast, since Aquaria would be here now over Naomi, who would not be here due to her winning her own season. So here are the hits for this season. Everything elimination and top and bottom are identical until Queen of Clubs, where Aquaria lands in the bottom with Valentina, and Latrice eliminates Aquaria over her friend Valentina. In the Best Judy's race, Valentina is the High Queen with Monet, winning the lip sync and choosing to send home Manila. In Sex and the Kitty Girl, Latrice goes home as usual, entirely because that runway was booger boots. Then going into the finale, Super Queen, I think the top 2 are tied between Valentina and Trinity, with Valentina having already been a massive production push all season from even avoiding elimination in that roast episode because they were trying to protect her. Valentina then ultimately wins that season solo. Shocker, I know. Season 11 was one that turned the show on its head because Evie came to slay, starting at that Sorry Not Sorry lip sync. And with the rug being pulled out from season 12 and Jada being the clear frontrunner of that top 3, nothing really changes there either. So season 11 and 12 are relatively unchanged. All Stars 5 gets a small facelift with Alaska appearing in the roster over Alexis Mateo. I think realistically, Alaska's brand of challenge was better tailored for season 5 than season 6, so here she goes with Alexis getting scooted into the following season. Based on Alaska's previous run where she tried to play fairly, I think she'd be a lot more laser focused on the prize this time around. The season progresses as such. Derek Barry goes home in week 1 and Angina goes home in week 2. Alaska scores high in Work the World Variety as well as in I'm in Love, but doesn't snag a win until Get a Room. That challenge was much more comedy focused than anything else, and Alaska tickles that part of Ru's brain that just makes her that girl. And Alaska chooses to eliminate India Farah in Get a Room, then grabs her second win in SheMZ since that is totally on her alley, eliminating Mayhem. She gets her third win in the Snatch Game, eliminating Ms. Cracker. Jujubee ends up winning the Backyard Barbecue Challenge because I think she would most realistically be the best there, and chooses to eliminate Mariah. Yeah, Mariah made it that far. Then Alaska scoops up her fourth win in the stand-up challenge and eliminates Blair St. Clair. The new top 3 is Alaska, Jujubee, and Shea, where I think Alaska would ultimately win the entire thing. Then All-Star 6 is another interesting one because Ginger has an open spot here. and is replaced by someone else from All Stars 2, who production very much enjoyed, and that's Roxy Andrews. Yara is subbed out here for Alexis Mateo. The final change made here is that because Eureka won season 10, her placement is also another finalist from season 10, and that's Asia O'Hara. I know some of you may ask why not just drop in Alexis with Yara, but Alexis has specifically said that if Yara was in an All-Stars with her, she would not go because she did not want to compete with her another time. They love each other, but they want to be separate. So things are quite different here with the high volume of challenges that are in the wheelhouse of all three of these new contestants. Alexis does her big one in the variety show in week 1, since she was so strong in All Stars 5's variety show, and probably would have won if producers didn't want to be messy and have India eliminate Derek because of their fight. I mean, even the guest judge was more tailored towards Alexis being in the top. I don't understand why she didn't win. I think objectively, Alexis is one of the few people who could beat Coco Montrese in a lip sync, so she wins that lip sync and chooses to save her Latina sister, Serena Chacha, as Yara was initially going to do that same thing, and Trinity K. Bonet is the first out. The blue ball is won by Roxy Andrews because this is completely in her wheelhouse, and with Yara not here and Alexis very likely performing well, Serena lands in the bottom with Akira. Roxy and Brooke, To Miss You Much, would be maybe the most dynamic lip sync of the entire season, if not all time. I have this feeling in the back of my head that the group and Roxy would all vote for Serena to go home. It just makes sense. Side Hustles includes Alexis instead of Yara, and I think that Raja would be selected as the sole winner since Trinity is not here to snag that win. The bottom queens are Team Roxy, Jan, Silky, and Akira. As much as I love Raja's style of lip syncing, Laganja decimated physical, and the group I think would vote to eliminate Silky. Episode 4 Halftime Headliners is won very likely by Alexis Mateo, since she's one of the best entertainers in that group and would knock out whatever she chose. Her lip syncing with Jessica would also be powerful as hell to womanizer. The bottoms are Akira and likely Jiggly, with Jiggly getting the chop this week. In Pink Table Talk, the high team is Asia, Roxy, and Akira, with Asia snagging the win since Ginger isn't here to get that random ass win that probably should have gone to Team Sex. Asia and Mayhem lip sync to Phone, where Asia wins and chooses to send home Jan. American Horror Story Coven Girls features a Kylie win, which was very earned and unexpected, and the bottoms are Akira and Raja, with Akira finally going home. In Show Up Queen, I could see Alexis snagging up yet another win simply based on her girl group from Canada vs. the World, where she could have won if she was on a better team. However, with Jan not here, the bottoms are Scarlett and Pandora, with Pandora being chosen ultimately to go home. In the Snatch Game of Love, Kylie snags up her rightfully earned Dolly Parton win, and the bottom two are Scarlett and Roxy, with Scarlett being chosen as the queen to eliminate. Drag Tots, I think, would always be Asia's win, based solely on how strong of a designer and storyteller she is, and this week, everyone is in the bottom. Based on track record, which I think they were following very closely this season, Roxy is then eliminated. The Lip Sync SmackDown episode is now significantly different because the lip sync songs are paired up with different queens. These would very likely be rotated around to accommodate the bottom two, but let's pretend they're locked in place, even if that's a bit obtuse to believe. Trinity and Serena lip sync to Free Your Mind, and Trinity wins. Trinity and Silky lip sync Two Girls Just Want to Have Fun, and I think Silky wins because they enjoyed her gimmick even if I did not. Silky and Jiggly lip sync to Point of No Return, and I can't help but feel like Jiggly could win this one since it's more in her lane than Girls Just Wanna originally did. Jiggly and Jan then lip sync to Song for the Lonely, where Jiggly wins. Akira doesn't participate in Barbie Girl, pushing Jiggly forward another week. Jiggly and Pandora lip sync to Heartbreaker, where I think Jiggly would win. Jiggly and Scarlett lip sync to Focus, and while I think that Scarlett could objectively win, producers wouldn't want to move her forward, so Jiggly would get yet another lip sync win. Then in the ultimate lip sync, it's Roxy versus Jiggly to Since You've Been Gone. I think this would be Roxy's moment, even if I think Jiggly would turn it and burn it. So Roxy joins the Charisma, Uniqueness, Nerve, and Talent monologues. This challenge is an interesting one because originally Eureka won the challenge for going around the parameters of the brief and doing something more on the humorous side, albeit a bit gross. She's not here this time, so I wonder if they would give it to Kylie for being more sincere with the challenge, or if Alexis would snatch it up because she would very likely do something funnier. And at this point in the timeline, Ru was appreciating humor over earnesty any day of the week. So Alexis snatches up this win, and since everyone else is in the bottom, based on track record, she chooses to send home either Roxy or Raja, ultimately choosing Roxy since she had already gone home. That means going into the finale, Kylie has 2 wins, Asia has 2 wins, Raja has 2 wins, and Alexis has 3 wins. With the lip sync song being Stupid Love and Kylie having that incredible moment where she recovered from her fall, I do think that would still lock her in for the win. However, I think in this world there's a very clear and present possibility that Raja wins the whole thing, and Alexis Mateo then goes on to win the very first Canada versus the world in Raja's place. The timeline of the main seasons like 14 and 15 go on unchanged, but the All-Stars seasons continue to get shuffled around with these queens being displaced from their original slots. All-Stars 7, the All-Winners season, this time around features Alaska, Jada, Evie, Dela, Bob, Jinx, Raja, and Bibi instead of the Viv, since Bibi was not in All-Stars 3. This cast is infused with more comedic geniuses like Jinx. I'm really intrigued on how this season could ultimately play out, but realistically, I see the top 4 as Dela, Jinx, Bob, and Alaska. Jinx or Bob win the entire thing, and Raja or Bibi win She Done Already Done Had Hers. I think All-Stars 8 would be entirely unchanged because Ru loved Jimbo and was going to give her the crown Hell or High Water, and Ru was the Hell and the High Water. And with season 9 being a charity season, I think the winner ultimately doesn't matter that much. Moving into All-Stars 10, I could see Yara in Ginger's place. With Ginger getting no focus this season, the entire purple bracket readjusts challenges, which I think inevitably would push Acid Betty into round 2, since the team was clearly not interested in Denali whatsoever. And the finale lip sync is between Bosco and Georges. I could see them rewarding Bosco with the win here since Ginger is not here to pull faces and do the, hey, get a load of this guy over here that really entertains Ru's brain. So with all of this said and done, our little pocket universe has now collapsed, the beetle is off of Ru's back, and everything is back to normal. I think in these experimental anything could happen universes, there's something really fun in imagining a world where Alexis Mateo wins Canada versus the world, or that Naomi Smalls won her original season. I hope you enjoyed this video because it was a lot of fun conceptualizing and trying to figure out how everything would fall in place with Ginger winning season 7. Keep an eye out because I have a video that will be coming of my completely delusional rejudging of multiple seasons in which Alexis Mateo wins all of them. Make sure to subscribe if you are interested in seeing more from this channel. Be sure to hit that like button, and I will see y'all on the flip.